Hello, chess lovers. Of course, the people who have been watching my videos and have subscribed for the most part have probably subscribed because of Top War. I have since pretty much quit Top War. I still have my account for sale. I'm very negotiable. I know I asked $800 for my last account. But of course, if you are interested, you can go ahead and send an email at 2ninjabear@gmail.com, which I will leave a link in the description for that on how to spell that. Once again, it's 2ninjabear@gmail.com. If you're a Top War fan and you're watching this video. So this is tips and tricks, of course, that I wanted to go over for Blitz. And the first thing that I want to note for chess.com specifically, and you can go into your settings for other applications like Lee Chess, but you will go into settings, and number one is to hit this little hour time clock thing, and you can set your board to different types of things, of course. Go to play. Numero uno is number one is enable pre-moves, and number two is to set your outgoing depending on what rating you're at. If you're at like 200 to like 800, I believe you want to set your rating to minus 200 plus 200 for the most part, to be able to get those accepting challenges. That's the minimum that you want to usually set to. If you're at a solid 1,000 to 1,200 ish, I would give it 1,000 to 1,800 probably. Maybe 1,700. You can, if you're wanting to play people who are about the same strength as you, set it to minus 2,500 plus 2,500. I mean 25. I said 2,500. You'd get crushed by some of the GMs, but yeah, go ahead and set your rating outgoing challenge to the minus 200 plus 200. That's just my personal recommendation, tip and trick. And like I said, if you are in that 1,000 to 1,600, I would say probably range, you can do the minus 25 or minus 50 plus 50. The biggest thing is once you are lower rated, there's a standard deviation of people who are online at a specific time to be able to challenge and play, and that's based upon the rating pool. So the other thing that I want to do or note is to use smart pre-moves. We're going to go ahead and go over a game which you will probably end up guessing the move because I'm going to open. This is a game that I lost on time with. That most of my games that I lost, I lose on time. I always say to myself that if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose on time and not through tactics. But today I ended up losing to a 1,300 over the board, with my USCF at my local chess club in Atlanta, which, he was a pretty strong opening player. He ended up playing the opening really well, and I ended up making an illegal move and hitting my clock. So he had 3 seconds left on his clock, and if I just would have made the legal move and just not hit my clock or whatever, he would have flagged. But I wasn't in the money or whatever anyway. So here we're trying to open this game here. Well, I'm trying to open this game. So there we go. You probably saw the hint as far as where we're at. So the first thing to note, of course, is we get into this end game. I have 0.3 seconds on the clock. What is the first pre-move that you should make here with 0.3 seconds on the clock? And that is correct. It is rook to f3. You have 3 moves basically that you can make, or 2 moves that you can make, because you're going to flag on the 0. Point 1 is what you're going to be able to do later. So you have 1 move that you can pretty much make here. My pre-move that I made, I will tell you what it is. And GM Hikaru Nakamura went over this about a year ago on a video, as far as bullet pre-moves and stuff like that and percentage chances. And I don't quite understand as far as where you get the percentage chances, but the best move to pre-move here, I believe, is rook to f5. Um, I believe the best move is rook to f5. I moved rook to f7 with my finger just right on the rook to see if I can move rook to f5. If I had a mouse, I would probably have been able to pre-move, of course, rook to f5. Not rook to f5. I probably would have been able to pre-move rook to f7 and then been able to immediately play rook to f5. If that didn't glitch out, I might have been able to do that. I might have been that fast. But the key thing here that I wanted to note as well, as far as is anticipating your opponent's moves. This check right here, I had 1 second, 1.5 seconds left. I should have pre-moved. I pre-moved, I believe, rook to f3 here. Which, there was a lot of blunders that I ended up making in this game. But specifically, I think the better pre-move is king to G8 and get your finger hovered over to your rook and play rook to f3 next. So this is a move that ended up taking me down 1.2 seconds, which my pre-moves, of course, I probably could have been able to save the game for a draw. So pre-moving anticipation is one thing that I think there could be a lot of theory to be able to go over this. But this pretty much leads to the 4th tip, which is don't get yourself into time pressure. Just move. All right. We'll go over this game specifically because we got to go to analysis to be able to go over this. But I want to... I think it's analysis. Details. No. Moments report. Time. There we go. Time. So on move 10, I ended up spending 30 seconds on. This is pretty much a no-no. Spending on a 5-minute game 30 seconds on a move that was pretty much self-explanatory, knight to d2. I mean, the next move, of course, 24 seconds, 20 seconds. Like, this move right here was an easier move to be able to find than 20 seconds, and that's F5. And if you notice yourself just getting into trouble, think about it like this. You have to divide out, there's a mathematical formula that, there was a book I read a while back, of course. There was a mathematical formula as far as like the amount of time that you have in a game divided by the amount of anticipated moves is what you should spend as far as on average each time for your moves. So, for instance, of course, if you're playing a bullet game, if you're spending a second on your bullet moves for 1 minute, then you're only going to be able to make 60 moves. And there are games out there that have been 90 to 120 moves for bullet because of Premove. So with 5 minute, we go ahead and say, as far as if you're anticipating we'll just say a 60 move game, which probably you should budget for a 120 move game for the most part. But we'll say a 60 move game, you should spend 5 seconds on a move, no more. If you're spending on a very tactical position, 20 seconds to 30 seconds is probably the most you should budget as far as your time goes. And this is specifically, like I said, for 5 minutes. So that's pretty much the tips and tricks that I have for Blitz. You can go ahead and use that mathematical formula, of course, for bullet. Like I said, and your game 10s and your game 45s and stuff, and over the board and stuff. It's just a mathematical formula that you can go ahead and pretty much spend. Like I said, there's a book that's out there as far as time management goes that I would have in a later video I might advise. But yeah, so for the most part, of course, I just want to say, as far as time goes, if your opponent has a minute on you for a 3 minute game, that's almost worth a piece. It's probably worth 30 seconds to a minute is probably worth a pawn. And for a 5 minute game. For a 3 minute game, of course, it's almost worth a piece. And that is even depending on, of course, if you are doing a like a 30 seconds left on your clock. I mean, 30 seconds left on your clock compared to a minute and 30 seconds is a lot more time pressure than a minute and 30 and 2 minutes and 30 versus 2 minutes and 30. Because you can catch up with a minute and 30 left versus 30 seconds and a minute and 30. And if you notice that you are getting into time pressure a lot, my biggest advice is to play a shorter time control. So, I personally, of course, was getting into time pressure with 10-minute games recently, playing some of my games on my main account. And, of course, I'm going to be doing a rating climb, which I might end up doing a couple more videos about this. Tips and tricks, of course, for bullet. But the biggest thing is, as far as my rating climb goes, I'm going to have a personal goal that I'm going to try to get up to 2,000, and we'll see if I can do it. Once again, on a fresh account. So currently I'm at 14 something. I plan on getting up to 1600 later today. 1454. I've lost 3 games so far, and we'll see where I go. So thanks so much for viewing. I hope this helped out. You've probably heard this advice before. If you haven't, I'm glad to be able to share some wisdom. If you have, I'm sorry that I bored you, and uh, go ahead and dislike the video, I guess, or I don't know. But I tried my best, guys and gals. So thanks so much for the likes and subscribes that I've had. And if you want to see more chess content, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks so much.